and then just, there you go. Or put 6 or 7 hours on the calendar to mix for your day and then call it a day. You might get ideas and cool stuff, but that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Do it tomorrow. Our balance is important because without it, we become reckless. You know what I mean? Right. We really become reckless, and then we lose track of time, and we lose track of sleep.
There's so many things vying for our attention, right? Like, just the social medias, just always just nagging at us for our attention. That's what they're designed to do now, basically. Mm-hmm. And we need to say, like, no, bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's business time.
Putting the phone down and telling yourself sometimes, hey, if it's important, they'll leave a message. If it's really important, they'll text me. I will get to it when I get to it. If it's an emergency, I will apologize later.
Right.
That's it. Like, our literal mental health is something that we neglect, both as audio engineers, audio professionals, and as men. Hell, and the women in our industry too. Like, it's something, it's like literally one of the first things that like we throw away next to our own personal time. Like it literally goes out. Like when clients are dicks and we're just like, okay, I'm going to put up with this so I can get the record done and just make them happy. So they don't what? Write a bad review, talk shit, like make false claims about you. The reality is these people are people. And they're not even rich people. Some of them. but they're just people living the same human existence we're all living. The difference is their existence might have given them a larger, higher social standard. But for the majority of us, that is not the case. These are people just living a normal person life that happen to want to do music as well. And we just happen to be in the vicinity. Dude, hell no. I've learned, hell no. It's not worth my mental stress. It's not worth it.
Yeah, this is something I'm working on a lot. Actually, I'm a people pleaser by nature, which obviously has its plus sides in this industry because I'm here for my clients. I'm here for the artists I work with. Like I want to make their record the way they want it.
Yep.
And that I really believe that. But it definitely has a dark side, a dark underbelly, which is like I get super stressed out about. Oh, they didn't like it. Oh, what's wrong? What can I do? And it's like, and then it's interfering with my personal time and my space, the me time, which we were talking about before we even started the podcast recording. How like the 30s is literally the worst decade for personal time. There's no time. There's no me time.
When you're 30 something years old, you feel like the world is on your shoulders. Like,
yes,
I've got to invest. I have to build wealth. I have to do things that are better than what I did in my 20s because I was crazy in my 20s. And now I gotta figure out how to settle down. I gotta figure out how to be more responsible because when I thought I was responsible, the world told me I wasn't responsible enough. And now my responsibilities, they feel like they're just weighing me down. But if I'm not as responsible as my parents were responsible, I'm gonna feel like a failure and all this other craziness that all this mental stuff that we're told that is detrimental to our actual mental stability.
Yes. Right. The financial stability messes with the mental stability. It's like, it's so true. I don't know. I was telling you also that before we started this, I just went back to therapy for the first time in 15 years at like.
Congrats on that, man. That's dope. That's dope.
Thank you, man. It's been so helpful. It's been so good. And it's just like, one of the first, takeaways from therapy was like, dude, you take on a lot of responsibility. Like that was literally what I came out of like maybe the first session realizing. It's like, I just take on a ton of responsibility. And it's like, what would happen if I let go? And it's like, I'm so scared of that. What happens if I let go? Like I'm here frightened of that chaos, right? Like I need the order and the chaos is scaring the shit out of me. But like, what's so scary, right? Like why? And I can't figure that out. So I'm trying to work on that.
It's because But
literally I have real responsibilities, right? Like I have a kid. I have to provide for him. I have to be a good dad. Like I want him to have a good father figure, like I want to be a good spouse. Like these are things that are really important to me. Like it's not like, these aren't just happenstance, Anyways,
but you know what, where that so it's a weird place because of all those things. We are told that those things are extremely important, and they are very, very, very important. But it's the same concept as going to work when you're sick. The reason why you shouldn't go to work when you're sick is because, one, when you go to work and you're sick, you're not doing yourself any favors, and you're only going to do the job half-ass. So you should stay home for that week that you say, I can't afford to stay off, but you should, because that week will come and go and everything will go back to normal. Stay home, get some rest, and be better. So when you come back to work, you come back to work at your best. And
it's so true.
And that's the way we don't look at life like that. When we are sick, when we're down, when we're depressed, instead of us trying to get better, we just fight through it, like going to work sick. And it doesn't.
That's the perfect. That's the metaphor.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Right.
We get worse, and then by the time we realize, oh my God, I need to really just sit back and just collect myself. We hope that we haven't done more damage because we were at work sick. And then if we have done damage, we now have to clean that up instead of just saying, you know what? Not today. I'm just going to chill today. I will do this tomorrow. I will take care of all of this tomorrow. But today I need a break. I need a break. And that's it. Because as I get older, I realize I have yet to meet an adult that will tell me or anyone else when I say, you know what, I just needed a break today. I've yet to meet the adult that says, you're lazy. You're a slacker. You need a break. No, every adult that I've ever seen or I've ever said, I'm taking a break today, they go, good for you. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what? You need that sometimes, man. You know, take a break, get a nap. You know,
maybe it's like a New Yorker thing. Like, I don't know. I know you're also from New York. So, you know, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. This feeling of guilt of not being productive.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's something that you experience.
You're not alone.
It's probably not only a New York thing, right? It's all of us, right? Like we've been conditioned in our, capitalistic.
Well,
like
that's the thing. That's the thing about growing
society.
up in America. Yeah, because in America, remember we are bred in America to be part of the workforce, and
right.
and whether anybody really wants to admit it or not, it's the way we are now. We are preconditioned to be part of a slave labor force. Simple. They teach us and educate us so we don't die on the job, and we have enough education to be smart enough to not die on the job. And then we just decide the workforce area we want to be part of. But that's the reality of it. And because so many of us have either grown out of that or grown accustomed to it, that's our reality. So everyone has that we got to get it mentality. Like, we got to do it now, and it's got to be this way. It don't got to be perfect. It just has to get done. And that's crazy. That's the crazy part. Like that's why we all be feeling that.
I love the way you're just being so eloquent about this. And it's like, you're opening up my mind. And I'm just thinking about like some of my Israeli friends, here in Israel where I live, like they don't have that same feelings of guilt when they're not working. You know what I mean? They don't have that same like, oh, I have to be doing this. Like this, they probably do to some degree, but I don't think the same degree as Americans.
No, we always feel like we feel like we're like not nothing, but it's like a nag in the back of our minds that make us feel like we are worthless if we're not doing something.
That's so shitty. But you know what? Recognizing that is, I guess, the first step to overcoming it.
Yeah, yeah, because and if for anyone that even listens to this podcast after, man, look, I am not saying that I have overcome any of these things or that I do not battle with these things. I'm saying that, like you just said, recognizing that that's a problem, and it's a problem that the majority of us actually have, and we should talk about it. We should not be so afraid to discuss openly, whether in private with our friends or in public with our friends. Hey, I'm not feeling good. I just want to chill out today. And you know what? That's fucking fine with me. I want everyone to live a strong, happy, healthy life. And the mentality that we take over these years of growth means that if you want to live that life, These are the things you have to do. And having a strong mental system in place for yourself and the people around you is literally like the crux. It's the spine of everything that we want to do and become, because a weak mentality towards your life will lead to death. You know what I mean? And a strong mental community that builds with each other, that loves with each other, that is there for each other, especially in our industry, it breeds bigger and better things, and not just from myself, but our community at large. You know, it acceptance, not contempt at all. Like, it helps people be people, and that sometimes is what we lose in this whole work mentality. Like, yeah, I love my job. Yeah, literally. But see, it's like it's a rat race on the Titanic, and that's the problem. This isn't a rat race to the top of the Empire State Building. This is a rat race in the middle of the ocean. And we're like, well, we're all going to run ourselves into the ocean. We have no escape here. Like, if you don't do better and get better and treat yourself better, how can we, and this is just on a me and you man level, how can we be better fathers? Because all we're teaching our sons is your actual emotional stability is only as important as the thing that makes you important to everyone else. And that's not true. You're a person. You're important. You are awesome.
That was my big struggle in
what I mean?
Corona, right? Like, you know, first of all, yes, 100%. Yeah. I'm just like, that was exactly my struggle. Like, during the lockdowns here in Israel, and I didn't have anything happening, and I was going to the park with my son, and I was like, why am I not content? Like, why am I so stressed out about this work that I don't have and I should be doing? Like, what is this? It's a bunch of bullshit.
We have no idea what freedom is. That's why. Like, our
we
children,
don't know. Yeah. We don't
our
know
children
who
are the
we
best
are.
example of yeah, exactly. Well, you know what it is? It's not that we don't know who we are. We lose who we are as we join this workforce of adulthood. Because it's what's drilled into our mind of what we are told to believe adulting is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally what is drilled in our brain. This is how you're an adult. This is how you become an effective adult. This is how you become a productive adult. You got to do this and you got to do that. But the reality is, as we get older, there is nothing saying we have to do all that craziness. The reality is, you don't got to do anything. Yeah, we can be productive members of society and still have a childlike manner that brings us joy on an everyday basis. But we have decided that anything that has to do with a childlike anything is not adult enough for us to be a part of it, and that's where we mess up. You know what I mean? That's where we mess. It's a cultural conditioning.
Yes, it's not.
There's this concept.
Not reality.
There's this concept that I was talking to my friend about yesterday about being the poor mentality and the rich mentality. And there's this guy on TikTok I was watching, and he was like, let me tell you about being poor and about being rich, because I was both. He was like, if I'm in my car and I'm speeding and I'm poor and I get pulled over, I now have to pay a fine. But that's because, as a poor person, that's what you have to do because you were speeding. I'm rich. If I'm speeding down the street and I get pulled over, that's the price of me speeding. And because I'm rich, that's just the cost of me because I felt like speeding. So that's the cost it is for me to speed. And at first I was like, well, that's how it is for everybody. But then I realized what he's actually saying. Your mentality is different because of your circumstances, but we have control over the circumstances, and thus we have control of how we perceive things that are actually built and made for us. So our systems that we live and work in are not built for rich people. Mm-hmm. They're built for poor people. But the moment you become rich, things change because that system no longer applies to you. You now live in a different system. My mentality is the same way. We are preconditioned to be X, Y, and Z. But the moment you learn, I don't have to be that, or you've now superseded to another place where that no longer applies to you because it just doesn't, and you realize it doesn't have to apply to you, it no longer is even in the conversation. You see what I mean? That conversation is no longer to be had with
so, yeah.
you. It's only to be had with you and people. Your conversation has changed between you and